Alright, hey, at Curiosity Cave, we are here with Mr. Ed Dixon, and he's going to show us around his amazing brewery setup. So I know nothing, he knows a lot more, and so we're going to get started here.
Okay, so what we have here is a Sabco version 2.3, I believe it is. It has a CPU that makes repeatability possible without too much work. It's a touch screen. Create new session. Okay, begin session. So what this has, it's got a master timer and then a brewer's timer that you reset when you move from one portion of the process to the next.
Okay.
It has a built-in pump and a heating element inside here.
Wow.
That's controlled off of this. But the majority of the system is done with, I have this one set up for propane. This is what they call either the strike water or the sparge water. This is the mash tun, which is where I put my grain. And then this is the final step of the cooking process. It's the boil kettle. And the way it works, I do a 15-gallon batch. So I'll put in roughly 12 gallons or so into my sparge water tank. And then in this tank, I put my grains. I want about an inch of water above the top of the grain bed, so that when I brew, I usually have the grain up to about here, and the water level will be here. What you do is you recirculate the water slowly over the top of the grain bed without disturbing the grain. So the suction comes from here through this line and into the suction side of the pump. The discharge side of the pump comes back up here and goes to here. Once you reach about 150 to 160 degrees, you start timing, and you usually mash in between 60 and 90 minutes, and you recirculate it at about 155 degrees. This will tell me how hot the what they call the liquor is. Then you adjust your gas flame down or up depending on what this tells you. What I primarily brew is a 60-minute mash in. Once you hit your 60 minutes, you open this valve here and close this valve, and you start draining this tank into there. At the same time, you open this valve and you take suction from this. This should also be at about 150 to 160 degrees. You put that water back into here, maintaining your level over the grain bed until you reach the level that you want to start your boil at. And like I said, I try to do 15 gallons at a time, so it's almost completely full. At that point in time, once this gets full, you shut off your sparge water or your strike water, and you close this valve, and then you start the flame for your boil kettle. You boil either 60-minute or 90-minute, and during the boil process, your recipe will tell you when you add hops or when you add any other extraneous flavorings to it. Once you hit your boil time, shut that off, and I have a small pump and heat exchanger. And you hook this up to the outlet of the boil kettle, and then you run cold water through the water side, and you pump it out to take it from boiling, and you want to bring it down to less than 80 degrees. You pump it through the heat exchanger and into one of your fermenters at about 75 to 80 degrees. Once your boil kettle's empty, you're ready to pitch your yeast. And at that point in time, you take off this dairy clamp and you pitch your yeast into there. You close it up and you put your open hose into a bucket of water so that you don't get air into it. Oxygenate when you're pumping, but you don't want it to continually have available oxygen to it. It takes about 2 weeks to ferment. Keep this between 50 and 65 degrees. So I actually have a heating element inside of here and a glycol chiller. If the ambient temperature is above like 65 degrees or 70 degrees, then it will come on and it'll keep the temperature at the optimum temp. This is the beer out. This is where the yeast will drop out because it's lower. This has a standpipe in it that brings it up to about here. Everything below is going to have all of your stuff that you don't want in your beer. About a day prior to transferring out of this, I drop this temperature down to about 33 degrees, and they call it cold shocking. And that helps with the dropout of all the things that you don't want in your beer. I have another hookup here. I'll pressurize it with carbon dioxide. I have a small carbon dioxide bottle. I hook up to this one, start filling my corny kegs. They each hold 5 gallons. You pump it into there. Once you run out of liquid from this, then you put the top on it, pressurize it with carbon dioxide. It's called forced carbonation. Within a week, it's ready to drink. The entire process takes about 2.5 to 3 weeks, depending on how carbonated you want to get it.
Another, guys. Seattle Brewing Company. That is so clever. I love that.
Would you like to try a sample?
Oh, yeah. Look at that. Ooh, beautiful, guys. Cheers.
Skål!
That's great, man. I love that.
It's pretty good.
This is pretty sick. Wow. And it's nice in that color. Wow.
It's got a very nice amber
And
color to it.
Awesome little head there. Maybe you might find it online then. On Growlers to Go. Well, thanks, guys. Thank you, Ed, for joining us and showing us his brewery. And, you know, maybe we'll see Ed again on another venture or another recipe. And thanks so much, Ed, for
You're
letting
quite
us
welcome.
join you.
Skål.
Take care, guys.